Hello and welcome to Growing Gratitude. I'm Becca Laurie Hector and I am your host today and always on Mondays at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time for Growing Gratitude live stream. This is where I talk about the challenges of being an autistic adult alive right now and what gets me through that and what motivates me through the week ahead, right? After good weeks, bad weeks, and all of the above. So welcome to it. I am here for you today. I am in a hoodie. It is chilly. It is finally like rainy, chilly fall here in Maine, and that's where I'm from. And so we are here, and I am inside because it is kind of raining and chilly and just feels like meh outside. So with that, let's get into today. I am mad as the weather is. That is how I'm feeling today. I It's a little bit of a push for me to be on doing live stream today, I gotta say. I think I'm floating in a space of sort of pre-burnout. And I've been talking about that for the last few weeks, and I'm really feeling it this weekend. I had no energy to do anything. So, like, rewind. Remember how 2 weeks ago I took a couple of extra days off because I was feeling so tired? Well, that continues, and I took those days because the week after that, or last week, I had a lot of stuff to do, like work-related things that were high tension, and high pull, high demand on all of the things about being autistic for me, right? So I knew it was going to be a rough week, so I rested in anticipation of it, and then this weekend, I felt the results of it, right? I spent the weekend wanting to do a lot of fun things and doing a whole lot of nothing, but sitting around in my house and living my life. And in that moment, and in those moments of sort of sitting there trying to recover from pushing a little too hard, right? Which happens sometimes for us. I was really just sitting there and trying to figure out kind of how do I recover from this? How do I move out of this space of feeling like I'm right before burnout and get myself out of here before I actually get into a darker space before, I can't really quite get out of it, right? So in that, I spent this whole weekend resting and of course then feeling sad and guilty and depressed that I'm sitting around resting and I could be out doing XYZ and I should be out doing XYZ. And when I start to talk to myself like there are things I should be doing like that, it's a word I hate. I hate that word should, right? It just makes me feel like, what does that mean? It's like, it's not like you have to, right? And it's not like you want to or you need to, but you should. I don't like that word. That's not something that really works for me anymore. It's a word I lived by for a really long time. And I really avoid it as much as possible. So I heard myself saying that word should, and I said, I've got some work to do. Well, when the Sunday blues hit, because they hit every damn Sunday, and I'm trying to understand it, and I'm trying to break the habit, and I'm trying to break my brain of it. But when the Sunday blues arrived, it was just like a wave of poo energy. And I don't mean poo like poop. I mean poo like Winnie the Pooh energy. Like, why bother? That's how I felt. Why bother energy? Why am I bothering to do these live streams? Why do I bother to write my social copy? Why do I bother to try to push the envelope forward for autistic people so hard when there are constantly people out there who are doing better than me, doing more than me, have more followers than me, make more money than me, right? Have more attention than me, all of these other things. And I've been doing this a really long time. So I've seen a lot of those people come and go, right? But on this particular Sunday, it just slammed me in the face yesterday. And so I was just feeling like I was having imposter syndrome, but at the same time, just not feeling like I am enough. And that's a really scary place for me to be in. I don't like that feeling at all. And so I kind of talked a little bit about it here in the house, and I reached out to a friend and kind of shared it with someone. And I was really reminded of all the things that I know to be true, that I know are tools and I know are the way out of it. And I sometimes forget even my own advice, which is terrible, right? I think that it's so much easier sometimes to give advice to other people than to take that advice for yourself. And that was certainly how I was feeling yesterday. And, I was reminded by this person of all of the little things that I know, the little rules and boundaries that I create in my life to protect myself from being susceptible to these feelings, and I kind of let those boundaries go, and or I'm shifting, and those boundaries need to shift, which might be closer to what's really happening. Like I'm shifting in the way that I feel in my skin and in my life and how I want to be out in the world. And so my boundaries have to shift along with that, which is something that I talk about in the course all the time, right? And so I had to be reminded of this, that this stuff might be happening for me. And in that, what can I do? What should I do about it? And the first thing to do is really realize that, um, and a reminder that what we put in is what we put out, right? And that we have a lot of control over the input we put in, right? We don't think we do. We sort of think we're floating out in the world and everything comes at us. But we really do have a lot more control over that input than we really acknowledge. And that's what I needed. I needed like a little shake to remember that I have control over my input in that way, that I don't have to look at the things that make me angry and upset and frustrated and don't make me feel inspired or creative or energized, right? That just drain me. And it's been a really long time since I've kind of culled that space in my life, since I've kind of cleaned out that my social media and just how I'm using it and where it is in my life and a whole bunch of other things. And I talk specifically about social media because I think as a disabled person, with someone with some chronic illness, as well as a disability that keeps me homebound a lot, right? Mostly by choice. Um, and I'm home a lot, and I'm often, somebody who can't do a lot of, activities. So I find myself on my phone a lot for that piece to take care of my own self care, but I'm also on there a lot for work. And so it gets squished, like squished together. So I'm on my free time, but I can't escape thinking about work. And that's not working for me anymore. And I'm tired of falling into the trap of comparing myself to all the other advocates out there and comparing myself to all the other coaches out there and comparing myself to all the other autistics out there, right? Because what I teach in my course and what I need to be living and breathing more of is this idea that um, I really just need to be a flower in like a field of flowers, right? And remember that there's a tons of flowers out there. There's tons of other people growing into flowers just like I'm trying to grow into a flower. The thing is though, we're all different flowers. And so I can't sit here like growing into the Becca flower and compare myself to the Billy Bob and Mary Jo flowers next to me, right? They might be taller than me, but they might be a color that I think is prettier, right? They may have more petals than me, right? Or be greener than me, or all of these other things, but they're not even looking at me. They're too busy trying to be the best Billy Bob flower or best Mary Jo flower that they can be. So what am I doing? I should just be trying to be the best Becca flower that I can be, right? And I don't need any distractions pulling me away from all of that, from trying to grow my flower and to share my little garden bed with the small group of people that I can handle, that enjoy the things that I talk about, that care to live their lives in this particular fashion, right? And so yeah, that's kind of where I got to today, was this idea of remembering, right, that there are many flowers in this field and that we all grow in different shapes, sizes, and colors and all of these things. And there's enough out there for all of us, right? And comparison does nothing for us. It drains our energy, it pulls us down, it does lots of things. And that's where I found myself yesterday, in this really hum ho meh space where I just was comparing myself and thinking how I'm just not enough and I don't do enough and I should be able to do more, right? And what I was really doing is stepping into all of the pitfalls, right? That we all that I have tried really to clear out of my way for many, many years, right? Because I can't do the same things that a lot of other people do, right? My disability doesn't afford me the energy and the ability to travel all over the place and go and do a bunch of speaking engagements all over the world, or to travel to all different kinds of sites, or out with friends and take all of these great internet photos or videos. That's not the reality of my life. The reality of my life is that 80 to 85% of the time I'm home. I'm either working from home or I'm spending my time recovering and taking care of myself. And that also happens for me at home. And so it's really hard to look at other people whose disabilities aren't quite as homeboundy as mine, right? Or maybe they have other things that are accessible to them that I don't have. Maybe they have money accessible to them that I don't have. Things like that, right? There's so much going on out there. And so when we get into that comparison place, we're comparing ourselves to this very small portion of what it is that people are showing us. And yesterday was my reminder of that. Yesterday, I needed that really in my face piece yesterday. And so I got it in my face piece, and I've been thinking about it ever since. And I've been thinking about, in unit 1, how I talk about controlling your input and output. And that's time. It's time for me to refresh those boundaries. It's time for me to say, I don't want to look at this content anymore, even if it's good content, right? If it's just distracting to me and my mission and how I want to live my day and my energy, I don't have to look at it. And so the time has come for a great culling in my social media, and or the concept of maybe, some other more private social medias where I don't have to engage in that way. So thoughts are happening around that. And I'm going to effectively really work on that, because next weekend I want to feel different. I don't want to spend next weekend feeling mopey. I want to love the life that I've created, because there are definitely decades even of my life where I dreamed of having just a portion of what I have right now, where I dreamed of even just liking myself. And that would have been enough for me. But liking myself, having a career, having a home, having a husband, all of the animals that I've ever dreamed of, that's so much more than my brain could have ever imagined for myself. And so I need these reminders that there was a time I didn't have these things, right? And I built it from nothing. And I can do it again. I can knock it all down, and I can do it again if I want to. And I can reshape it, and I can recategorize it. I can do lots of things with my life, and that is in my control. And so that feeling of feeling mopey yesterday has to actualize itself into some kind of activity, an action word. I have to do something about it in order for my next Sunday to feel different. And that's my motivation for this week. My motivation for this week is to be clear about my boundaries, to reset some, right? To work around some of this. I'm noticing that a lot of my angst is coming from spending too much time on social media and not doing other things. And that made me realize there's not a lot of things that I'm doing in my life right now that are pure joy. And what are those things? And so I'm on a little bit of that journey. And I'm doing that piece. And I see Autistic Personal Coach in the chat. Thank you for joining me today. But and he says, when you know what you don't want is the only way to know what you do want. Yes, I love that, right? A lot of people are always like, what do you want? What do you want out of life, right? What do you want to build? What do you want to be? Who do you want to be? I don't know. But I do know who I don't want to be. And I do know what I don't want to live like. And I do know what's not acceptable to me. And that is just as good of a starting point, right? You're absolutely correct. And so that's where I am right now, is like, I know what I don't want. I'm tired of looking at myself and thinking I have to do more when I am doing so much that is not seen or recognized by anyone else. And that should be enough for me, right? That should be the kind of my space of growth. And that's where I want to be. I want to center back into that place, and start clearing out some of this input. And the big key here is when you clean out input like that, you have to replace it. You don't want to have nothingness. So my job this week is to clean out some of that input and replace it with some new stuff. So I'm saying to you guys out there, if you're watching and you have new fun stuff on the interwebs that you are watching, any new social media pages that you think are fun, like fun, right? Nothing to do with autism and neurodiversity, preferably. If you would like to share those links with me, if you are do some of those things with your social media, please come find me and share that with me. I want to open my world up a little bit to things I don't know are out there yet, so I can find more things that I do like out of finding what I don't like. I need to expand my horizons and also shut some doors on some things. I'm overloaded in things, and so I would love to know what you guys are doing to keep the smile on your faces and what you're watching and your funny memes and all of those things. I want to reconnect with the people who share my sense of humor and share my sense of joy. And so I miss you guys, whoever you are. I miss that in my life. And so come find me, please. You can find me on social media. You can comment on this video. Share the things you do for joy with me. Maybe I'll find joy in them too. I don't know. But it's time to start sharing joy all over again and doing those basic things that I was really working so hard on before I kind of got misaligned. And it's this desire to get realigned again, more so with myself than anything else. I feel unaligned with self. And I don't like that. I'm feeling uncomfortable in it. And it's not the good kind of uncomfortable. It's the kind that motivates me to say something's not right. I'm too tired. I'm too tired all the time. So something's off. Um, Thank you so much. You are doing amazing things. So many of us are so impressed by you. Thank you so much, Autism Personal Coach. And I know that I have people out there who do support me and cheer me on and all of those things. And so when I have those Winnie the Pooh days, not poop days, and I'm going, why bother? Right? Why bother? I should remind myself there are people out there who are cheering me on, but it's so hard when you're isolated and you're alone in it so much of the time to remember that those people are out there. So thank you for the reminder that you're out there. And thank you for joining me today, and like allowing me to really share with you the challenges that I'm having as I'm trying to build a life that I love, that I want to wake up in every day. And most days I do, but there are always things that are moving and changing in our lives that aren't necessarily in our control, and that shifts things, and we grow and change, and that shifts things. And so, whatever we create should never be permanent. And that's where I'm finding myself. The space that I created in my social media was good for me and worked for me for a certain amount of time, but I'm done now, right? And I want to be thinking about other things. And so I need to be putting in the input to think about those kind of things. For example, I'm a writer by heart. I love the written word. I love words, period. I'm hyperlexic. I love words. Words, I love them, to speak them, to write them, to read them. I love the perfect words. I just love everything about it. But something I've never done as a writer, because honestly, I've been afraid, is to write fiction. I've never written fiction. And I'd like to try. So one of my little ways to try to input some joy is I'm going to try to tackle writing fiction this fall and winter. It's my favorite writing season is fall and winter. There's something about being in the coziness of winter and having the lights on during the day because the sun's not out, and just a cup of tea and just sitting down to write, for me, that really works. And I produce really well during that time. And so I'd like to use that time to write some fiction and explore whether that's a place of joy for me. So I don't know, I'm a little nervous, but I'm going to try. There are things I'm going to try. And those are things that I could be doing if I wasn't so caught up in, I don't know, things that don't matter to me so much anymore. Um, I went on this journey that I built self-defined living around because I wanted to show myself that I could. And then I got here and I didn't have any real plans for after that because I didn't really imagine I'd ever get here, and I did. And so I had to really think about that. What does the rest of my life that I don't need a vacation from look like? What am I going to do with the time I have left here? You know? Um, Autism Personal Coach asked, do you know what your first fiction book will be about? I don't, because that's one of my struggles, right? Is that I'll share this with you. What a good question. I enjoy observation. So I love watching people and capturing moments, or what I consider to be characters out in the world, right? Where the details of the setting and the way that people are interacting and the voice tone they're using and the clothes that they're wearing and who they're talking to and all of those things, it fascinates me, right? All those background details. And I'm told that those are the backbone for any really good fiction. The problem is that since I've never written fiction, I don't know what kind of fiction writer I am. I know I like to read sci-fi and fantasy, sometimes mystery and psychological thrillers. So I imagine it will be like a mishmash in there, my first attempt, because it's what I read most. But one of the things that I love about being a writer is that what you write is not necessarily what you read. And so it's an exploration into fiction. Who knows? I could end up writing a romance for all I know. I would never write a romance. That's never coming from me. That would be the most inauthentic ever fiction piece written by Becca Laurie Hector ever. But I imagine it'll be somewhere in the fantasy realm, and or mystery area. That is what I think. Um, and so I don't know, maybe I'll start with short stories. But in any case, that's one of my little adventures in trying to change the input, right? So that I can change the output. So I'm going to be ditching a lot of the things that I've been, and I'll be honest, a lot of the autism stuff that I've been following because I'm tired. My brain is tired of that information. And I kind of want to inspire the autism things that I do with things outside of autism land, if that makes sense. And so I'm going to be, I think, adding some fiction writing things to my social media. So, some pages, some groups, maybe some of my preferred fiction writers, things like that. And if you know of any good online classes for inexpensive online classes for writing fiction, share those with me. So that's what I'm thinking of doing with this whole change of input, putting up boundaries, cleaning up house kind of feeling that I'm having right now. Because it's time to do it. Something's not right, something's not balanced, and my brain isn't feeling refreshed after stepping away from work, and it should. That's the way that I feel when I'm balanced. So I'm headed to it. I'm going to be doing some of those things. And of course, you'll find me talking about those things that I'm doing. Here I do, Mr. Rogers, old reference because I'm old. To remind you that Growing Gratitude is here every Monday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, live, where I talk about the challenges that I'm going through as an autistic adult alive right now, and what are the things that I use to motivate myself through the challenges and get me through the next week, and how do I set myself up, right, for the week ahead, for what I want to get out of it. And this is how I do it, and I'm doing it with you, and I hope you guys will come and join me and do it with me too. I'd love to hear what things you're doing, what's going on in your life in chat. And that's why chat is open. So come hang out, do that with me. It's a reminder that right now in the description of this video, there are links to Lulu all over the place. I've got a bunch of all my links down there. You can click to check out the course, the books. You can check out my website. You can get in touch with me on social media, all of those things. And I'd love to hear from you. And until the next Growing Gratitude, please let me remind you to take care of your meat suit, to take care of your headspace, and please keep your eyes and ears and heart open to all of the glimmers that you can find out there. Sometimes they are tiny, but when we find them, they keep us going, right? So keep a lookout for those things. Keep trying to make these shifts and be paying attention to the here and now where you have control over things. I'll see you guys next week for Growing Gratitude. I'm Becca Laurie Hector. Until next.